You've read Dianetics, Self-Analysis, or some such book by L. Ron Hubbard, and maybe you've tried some of the techniques in those books by yourself or with a friend. Maybe you have a co-worker or family member who is a member of the Church of Scientology and you see how happy they are with it. Maybe they've told you about it and you are terribly curious and the idea of going clear excites you. You walk into the Church of Scientology, you take your personality test. You are ready to take your first course or maybe get some auditing. A staff member takes you into a room and interviews you, and after that interview is over, they tell you that they cannot deliver auditing to you. You are an illegal PC. And by that, I don't mean a stolen computer. I'll explain further. Long ago, Hubbard wrote a policy letter called Illegal PCs, Acceptance of. Now mind you, this is a policy of the church as opposed to technology. It's a decision L. Ron Hubbard made over who gets to be audited and who does not. A policy, not technology. A decision, not some truth. In other words, it's not that the church cannot help you, it's that decades ago, L. Ron Hubbard ordered them not to if you are one of these so-called illegal PCs. Before I continue, let's clear up some basic terminology for the uninitiated. Scientology uses special counseling called auditing, audio, for to listen. An auditor listens to you. That's what they mean, not someone from the tax office who comes and looks at your books. The end result of auditing is called a state of clear, so the person getting the auditing is called a pre-clear because he is not yet clear, and so they shorten that to PC, and pre-clear is what that stands for, and that term was coined long before we had personal computers or political correctness became such a big deal. In any case, I am using the church's jargon of illegal PC to mean anyone that any auditor of the church is forbidden to help, and I am using their exact terminology, so anyone who has the misfortune of the church labeling them as such can search online and hopefully find my video. So, there you have it, you have been declared an illegal PC by the church. Rather flattering label, isn't it? I especially like the illegal part, sounding as if you've done something wrong. Must make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside to be rejected in such a way with such a fancy term. Enough of my rant. So, the church won't audit you. You do have several options in this situation, though the church will lead you to believe you have only one. As terrible as I am making all this sound, I do understand why Hubbard wrote this policy, though I don't necessarily care for every of its ramifications. Scientology's current public relations status, that is to say, their terrible press, some of it justified, most of it not, puts them in a rather vulnerable position when it comes to public opinion over them. They don't want to audit anyone that may be nuts, or is or has been connected to a group that hates them, or anything of that sort. If you were once FBI, CIA or IRS, they are scared, and justifiably so, that you may have been sent to investigate them. Or, another big disqualifier, if you've had extensive psychiatric treatment, they are worried that during the process of your auditing you might turn a psychotic break, blame it on the church, and sue them, which not only threatens their assets, but also brings another media deluge down on their heads, of which they really cannot suffer any more of than they already do. Give the devil their due though, it could be a very risky process for you if you are one of those psychiatric cases. Though I have some mixed feelings about the church, I have nothing but contempt for these psychiatrists who lock people up, drug them, shock them, and let them loose on society, often in much worse shape than when they started. The church and I see eye to eye on that point. Back to where that leaves you. In cases where you are connected to a hostile entity, they may require you to disconnect from such person or group. In cases where one's mind is all botched up from psychiatric drugs, at minimum they will require you to stop taking those drugs, stop seeing your therapist, and then depending on how severe your damage is, they may either just get on with it or they may ask you to do some training first. Sorry, I should have said a lot of training. Quite a bit. Actually, If it's the latter, the route of training, I will advise you, there is no guarantee that even after all this training is over with that you'll be able to change their minds. It's all up to someone who sits in an office in California. That's who you send your request, or petition to, in order to ask for auditing. If this all sounds like a game of Mother May I for your spiritual freedom, that would be a good way to put it. However, I do know people personally who have gone this route with the church, trained to be an auditor, gotten their auditing and went clear, and are quite happy. So as bad as I may be making all this sound, for some it's been not so bad, and I kid you not on this point. But like I said, the church will make it sound like it's your only option. I mean, after all, their whole message is about how Scientology is your only hope for spiritual freedom, and is the most advanced technology aimed at achieving such, and nothing better than Scientology has ever shown its face on this earth, and nothing ever will be better. Ever. Now of course you are entirely expecting me to say that you should tell these buggers to sod off and you just go do trom. Well, I'm not saying that at all. There's no need to be disrespectful. Whoever is giving you this bad news at the church is just doing their job. It's not their decision. They are forwarding L. Ron Hubbard's decision he made about you and others like you long ago. Most church staff members are decent people. So be nice as possible about this all, then make up your mind what you want to do about it later on, when you are alone and can make a more informed decision. You could, if you want, go see an independent Scientologist. If you do, keep this to yourself. The church will scream to high heaven if they know this is what you are doing. And if you tell them that is your intent, they will warn you until their faces are blue, that doing so could be very dangerous. And, once again, I do have to agree with them, to a point. If you get one of these independents that doesn't know what they are doing, you can make a plate of scrambled eggs out of your mind, especially if you get one of these chaps who thinks they know how to do Scientology better than Ron, and has invented their own way of doing it. If you meet such an auditor, you need to run, run, run. That said, I am sure there are plenty of independent Scientology auditors that know exactly what they are doing, and won't deviate from the technology, in whose hands you are quite safe. Trouble is, you probably won't be able to tell one from the other until it's too late. So at the very least, if you find an independent auditor that is willing to work on your case, make sure it's one that has trained up to at least level 5, has experience delivering auditing under the church's scrutiny, and lastly and most importantly, will deliver Scientology auditing to you exactly the way L. Ron Hubbard wrote it, nothing more, and nothing less. You do have options to simply do the Scientology processes, many of them, not necessarily all the way to clear, but a great lot of them just working by yourself or with a friend. If you are toxic, buy a copy of Clear Body, Clear Mind, then have a medical doctor check you out first, and do the church's purification rundown on yourself, sweating in the sauna, running, and taking vitamins every day for however long it takes to rid your body of whatever residual poison remains in your body after taking whatever drugs a psychiatrist has put you on. I recommend you not only get checked out by the doctor first, but also do this with a friend, as it will be a lot less risky for you. If you are taking such medications now, there is an organization called CCHR, Citizens Commission on Human Rights, that can advise you on how to get off them, and even recommend doctors that will assist you in your withdrawal so you don't go lose your mind during it. Psychiatric drugs are dangerous stuff. Don't play games here. Now if your reason for being rejected is a more political one as opposed to you being a mental health risk, that is to say you work or you used to work for the IRS, FBI, CIA, and or you have a family member that runs an anti-Scientology blog or something of the sort, detoxification may not be such a critical thing for you. Depends on your drug history, if you have one. Such people may want to just move straight on to using a do-it-yourself book. I know Mary loves self-analysis, and though I personally don't find it as effective as trauma therapy or even auditing delivered by the church, it's still nothing to sneeze at. You can also get a copy of Dianetics and with a buddy do the original technique that was so popular in the 1950s. Don't sneeze at that option either, just because it's old. The church still uses the original Dianetics auditing on new people, and that should say something for it. You can even take the Dianetics auditor course at the church with a friend and do what is called a co-audit, each of you taking turns auditing the other, and the church will have no problems with that, as long as no one on their staff is doing the auditing, and you conduct your sessions off of church property. And lastly, you have TROM. This is the option I took, though it was after several years of Scientology training and playing Mother May I with the church to no avail that I arrived at TROM. And in a way, I am glad that it all worked out that way, because no matter how we might like it otherwise, understanding Scientology will greatly assist your learning TROM. But now that you've seen this video, don't go running to the church saying you want to train in Scientology so you can learn TROM. They will try and talk you out of it every which way they can. They are totally convinced that anything other than L. Ron Hubbard's works is terribly dangerous and will botch your mind 7 ways till Sunday. Well, you are just going to have to make up your own mind about it. I can only tell you that after having trained in Scientology and even taught it in their academies, TROM is the only alternative I have found that makes sense to me, and has given me the kind of help that I was seeking from the church in the first place. You won't have to pay tens of thousands of pounds to do TROM. You won't have to answer to an organization that thinks it has the right to decide who goes free and who doesn't. You don't need tell a soul you are doing TROM. It's no one's business but your own. But you will need to study. And you will have to diligently practice the TROM exercises. And you may get into trouble misusing it, whether by accident or you deciding you are going to put your own spin on the procedures, as if you know better. You most likely don't. And I am not saying that to insult you. I am saying that to warn. Do Scientology if you want. Do TROM if you must. But whatever you do it exactly like it says in the book, or you are playing games with your mind indeed. One thing you have going for you nowadays that was not available until recently are my videos and study guides. These will not only help you make an informed decision, but will also make doing TROM possible without having a background training in Scientology. My video uploads are at the point now that if you watch all of them, read the TROM manual along with the study guide and glossary you can request from me via email, you should be able to at the very least do TROM levels 1 to 3 competently. I am also available to answer questions. The choice is yours. I don't have any vested interest in what choice you make. I just want you to know you are not alone, and you have more choices than what the church tells you. Being labeled an illegal PC is nothing to be happy about. It's a shame such a thing even exists. But there's hope. If it sounds like I am giving you a mixed message about the church, it's only because the church is giving a mixed message themselves, that message being, we're here to free mankind, well, most of you. That about sums it up. Oh, before I go, there is one last option. The most obvious, actually. You can wash your hands of all of it if you want. You can say you don't want a thing to do with psychiatrists, Scientology, TROM or anything else of the sort. I invite you to at least check out TROM before you make such a decision, but in any case, I will still respect you as a being no matter what. This has been a presentation of DIY Salvation. Please subscribe so as not to miss any further videos.